Well, good morning. It has been a very long road of getting this land all cleared out. To think that when we first arrived, you could barely walk through the property, and we've taken it from that point until today. And there's just one thing standing in our way, and that's what to do with all of this slash and all of this brush. And well, for that, we've been advised to burn it. So burning slash is mildly controversial, but it actually is the advised way of doing things. At least that's what we've been told by our local state forestry advisor. He said save some of the slash for creature habitats, which we've done. Save some of it for mulching later on, which we will. But the majority of it, since there's far too much slash, it's best actually just to burn it. So this is the area that we got stuck last week. I did manage to move all of the brush finally once it dried out a little bit better. Still not very dry, but just burning 2 brush piles today. And yes, we have notified all of the proper authorities. We are doing things right. I feel like I'm being a little bit too sensitive today, but you know, we're doing things right. So I'm far too embarrassed to admit actually how long that took to get started. I had to go buy a propane tank and a torch and like properly torch it. Things are just way too green. But as we wait for this to properly catch fire, just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge, I never thought that the clearing of the land would take this long. It was quite a long stretch, a long road to get to this point. I think we're basically finished now. I'd like to cut a few trails just for fun. But other than that, we're kind of done.
Yeah. I'm still really kind of shocked at the transformation that the property's had when I pulled in this morning. It's just a completely different property. Like with all those buildings down and all of the land cleared, it is really, really pretty and it's really peaceful. So it's really nice to be able to just drive on property and see the trees and not have any of those kind of eyesores in the way.
But as we wait for this to properly catch fire, I do want to acknowledge, as the title says, yes, things aren't exactly working and we do need to facilitate some sort of change.
So I know based on last week's video, there was a lot of speculation as to what that change is going to be. And some people were thinking maybe we're selling Italy. I just want to let you know, we are not selling Italy. We've said before, we will never sell Italy.
It will never sell that.
And we never will.
In fact, it's the opposite, if anything.
Yeah.
It's that this isn't working out for us. And as I mentioned last week, the winds of life kind of feel like have blown us off course to what we had set off to accomplish years ago. And we've learned a lot in the process, and we will be making soon a really large change to kind of steer back on track. Now it's going. Yes, that is safe. Don't worry about it. So since we're burning 2 brush piles simultaneously, Heather and I are tag teaming, going back between each of them, making sure that we're keeping an eye on everything. It's a great time to be burning because we've had so much rain lately. The ground is pretty soaked, everything is green, and we've dug we've dragged trenches around each of the burn piles. So all of this should be done by the end of today and should go pretty smoothly. I don't understand how this pile is going so slow. It's all just really thin brush that's been drying for the last 6 months or so, and it just won't catch fire compared to the other one.
There's less wind back here though. Do you think that has something to do with
that's it. Yep.
Yeah.
We're more shielded from the wind, so it's not picking up as fast.
Bradey quite often makes me nervous in the kind of work that he does, but today is especially nerve-wracking because he is getting so close to the fire with these big machines, and the ground is very soft. So as you know, we had some trouble with getting stuck in the mud. The last thing that we would want to happen is for him to get stuck next to the fire. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I do trust Bradey, and he has a lot of wisdom when it comes to risk and understanding, like, okay, I need to get out of that situation. I trust him, but it does make me nervous. I am also really thrilled with how this clearing looks all open and exposed. Obviously we have the brush pile right in the middle, but it's a really beautiful space back here without the fire and the machines. It's very, very peaceful and wonderful. And it's exciting to see this kind of take shape. So the weather in Ohio is somewhat unpredictable in the spring. So we've had some really cold days, we've had some warm days. That's really common for this area. The spring, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we finally have the spring. So things are starting to get greener. We're starting to see more sunshine. I'm so hoping that warmer weather is ahead of us. Basically just keep an eye on things and make sure the fire's not getting out of hand. We're set up pretty well, so we kind of know essentially what's going to happen and how it's going to go, but of course you have to keep your eye on these things to make sure everything goes smoothly. So one of us is in one fire, one of us is at the other fire, and we're kind of going back and forth and making sure everything is going as planned.
And I can't believe how fast this slash pile is burning down behind me. I keep feeding it, trying to keep it full, but as fast as I can feed it, that's how fast it gets burned up. But it is a little slow going with the excavator. Normally I would use the skid steer to drive the all of the slash to the center quickly, but as you saw last week, that didn't end very well. So I'm using the excavator to haul brush to the center, which is just a lot better for self-recovery if I do get stuck. Now this is just about dry, but I just haven't waited that long because, well, I'm just not very patient. Springtime in this area is always quite damp, and all of the clay makes it take a really long time to dry everything out. In fact, all of the surrounding area has these really old clay tiles to help drain all of the fields in the surrounding area that were installed like 100 years ago. It's amazing to see them still working. And this area, this build site here, probably will need some drainage added to it as well. But there's not really any concern with foundations in this area, despite this clearing being a little bit soft and squishy. It first needs to be compacted prior to the foundation going in. And probably a basement would go in because this area is really well known for tornadoes, so basements are kind of a necessity. And once you dig down for that basement, your foundation is solid. Well, really quickly, I just want to take a brief minute to thank today's video sponsor, Delete Me, and to remind you guys about the importance of protecting your personal data while online. If you aren't aware, Delete Me is a hands-free data removal service that removes your personal information from hundreds of data brokers and people's search sites, reducing the risk that your personal information ends up in the wrong hands. If you've ever experienced those annoying spam phone calls or spam text messages or phishing email attempts, it might be a sign that your personal information has been leaked and spread around the internet. Unfortunately, there are hundreds of data brokers out there that their sole job is to package up as much personal information about you, things like your home address, your cell phone number, your email address. They package up all of this information and they sell it off to the highest bidder, whether that's to advertisers or to potential scammers. Unfortunately, it's perfectly legal for these data brokers to do this, and in my opinion, the best line of defense against this is by having your information removed. That's where a service like Delete Me comes in. When you first sign up for Delete Me, within 7 business days, you'll get a report that shows where all of your information has been spread around the internet, and then they go to work on your behalf having that information removed. But they don't just stop there, as every quarter they scour the internet, again, looking for new information that's popped up, and again, they have this information removed. We've personally been trusting Delete Me for over 2 years now with our information, and if you'd also like to join Delete Me, you can go to joindeleteme.com/Voyagers to get 20% off, or you can scan the QR code on screen now, or simply enter the coupon code Voyagers at checkout. But with that, thank you so much much to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. Well, good morning. It's now day 2 of clearing out this brush, bringing it to the center, and burning it all. And tell you what, this morning, as I arrived and I looked at this clearing, it really is reminding me of just how special this property is. It's been a little bit void of color lately, just seasonally, but that color is starting to come back. We've got leaves coming onto the trees. It's reminding me of last fall as we were clearing out this area for the future build site. And it really is just a really special spot. Just maybe not for us, which we'll talk about next week. But this morning I've got the fires lit back up again, which was pretty easy to start the second time around. Just getting things up to speed here. And realistically, I just have a couple more hours of hauling the brush and burning it before I can move on to something more exciting. Man, has anyone else been really feeling the pinch and stress of the cost of fuel lately? I think the first time I really noticed it was the other day when I went and I filled up all of the diesel cans for the equipment. And just seeing the total after filling up 5 of these 5-gallon diesel containers, I was like, what happened? Oh man, I don't think any of us need the extra stress right now. And that sure does change things a lot. Well, another day has passed and I really didn't pick up the camera that much, and I just kind of, needed one of those days. There's been a lot going on, as I've mentioned. Actually, the last couple of months has been the most difficult for our family that we have ever experienced. And next week we'll share what we're able to, and of course talk about what we're doing to change things and to help facilitate, I guess, a healthier environment for our family. Today was just one of those days. I got an email about halfway through the day that just made things just so much worse, and I just needed, put the camera down and just put some music on and be positive and get through the day. And the good news is that all of the brush burning is finished, aside from like this little area back here. We actually had a tornado a while back touch down about a mile south of the property, which is, just like awesome and really exciting and fun. And it knocked out about 7, 8, maybe 9 really healthy trees right over top of a steep, you wouldn't call it a ravine, a creek that's kind of cut down about 10 feet deep into the surrounding area. So getting access back there and processing all of those trees into future firewood. Some of it can be used to mill up for future projects, but I think probably most of it's just gonna be firewood. So that'll be fun, but for today, just gonna wrap things up. Pick up tomorrow with something just a lot more fun. Well, good morning. I figured today I would start with something, just a little bit more fun, something that I've been wanting to do just for me for a while now, and that's to cut some ATV trails. This property is so unique for so many reasons, but one of them is the ability to cut probably miles of trails for ATVs or for like a Polaris RZR or something like that. I really want to get these cut over the next couple of days so that I can actually, borrow something and run out and enjoy going through these trails. I know my brother-in-law has a really nice RZR, so I'd love to, give him a call and see if he can't bring that over and let us play with it for a little while. But honestly, just the process of cutting these trails in and of itself is quite fun. Oh man, I'm coming up to what looks to be a clearing. Hey, this is kind of cool. This is in the back section of the property. I've never been back here. Just a kind of natural clearing, a few random bushes and trees growing through here, but this is a lovely clearing. Could be a great place to plant some fruit trees or just an extra space in the back of the property, but it's wild that I've actually never had the chance to be back here before. It's so crazy this late in the game finding a completely new clearing that I wasn't aware of. This is in the furthest corner of the property, and just because I haven't had the chance to come back out here because the brush has been so thick, I wasn't aware of it, but it seems like there was at one point ATV trails cut through this area. And now I'm just gonna expand upon them, which honestly, I'm just doing this for fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Once I get all of these trails cut, well, then I need to borrow my brother-in-law's razor and rip through these trails and properly enjoy it. All right, moving on, cutting some more trails from this new clearing, back to the area that's gonna end up being behind the build site. We're gonna keep this mostly dense, at least I think so. It would be good to take down all the invasive species, but for now, it's just nice to have a little bit of extra color to the property, which the invasive species bring color. So, you know, there's some good in that there. But I'm gonna cut a path through it, both for the ATV trail, as well as I do need to do a little bit of work back in this area in a future time frame. I'm clearing out those huge trees that fell down from the tornado that I mentioned yesterday. And I currently don't have a way to get back there. Actually, this long ATV path will be the only possible way to bring machinery back here because there's quite a large creek crossing. All right, so I've been dreading doing this for quite a long time now. All of these trees were downed by a tornado that touched down about a mile south of here. And I guess this tree here behind me, this monster tree, was rotten at the base. The wind pushed it over, and then it dominoed like 7 or 8 healthy trees beyond that, which is wild. So the first order of business is to very safely use the excavator to take this monster tree onto the ground, chunk it up, and hopefully use the chains to drag it out from inside of the creek. Seemingly just hanging by a thread, but this is hickory, and a large hickory at that. And man, that thread is strong enough to prevent me from being able to push it over with the excavator. I'm slowly trying to just scrape back at it, but I can't use a chainsaw on this safely. It just would not be safe. So I just need to keep prying at it, clawing at it, hoping that I can destabilize it enough to push it off. And then once it's on the ground, then I can safely use the chainsaw. All right, now that she's safely down, you can get a sense for just how many trees and how much of a mess this is. Let me spin the camera around for you. This entire mess here, as I come up here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees, it looks like, that all need to be cleaned up. And one of them is just a monster tree. 9 trees. And several more that I don't know if they'll survive because of how they've been damaged. All because of one massive tree knocking it all over. I'm not gonna lie, this represents several, I'd say 3 or 4 days of cleaning up, as it needs to go a little bit slower because of the landscape and pulling things back on chains, and it's gonna be a process. All right, well, that's all of the dangerous bits finished and everything safely resting on the ground. But I'm realizing just how long this is going to take me to clean up and realizing just how boring it is. So I'm just not going to film it. We'll leave you here. But before I let you go, thank you for your patience and your grace with us. Really the last couple of months, as just things have been kind of, weird, and it's been hard for us to put energy and focus into the videos that we create, and just the understanding that you'll have as we kind of explain next week what's been going on and what we're doing moving forward with our lives. I would ask for a little bit of patience and kindness in the comments as well as we explain that next week. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to a place where I can really pour myself into the videos that we create, because I love what we do and I'm so thankful for you guys being here. And in fact, we're gonna be back in Italy in just a few weeks, which really does fill my soul, and I'm really looking forward to getting back there. But with that, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in our next video.